Welcome to session 5, the client GPS. This is laying the path for your potential clients to follow. So the whole point of this particular training here is to help you understand the process that both your clients need to go through and you need to go through as a business owner to help them actually go and become a paying client of yours. So let's go and dig into this actual training itself. First of all, what is a client GPS? Well, this takes the buyer's journey to the next level. If you've heard about all this before, you maybe heard the buyer's journey before, there's going to be people at different stages. People who are not even aware that they have a problem, people that are aware they have a problem but don't know you actually exist. But people then find out that you actually exist and they're then doing a bit of investigation to figure out whether you can actually help them or not. You build that trusting relationship with them, and then in a position where they actually want to go and buy from you. And that's kind of the buyer's journey. You hear a lot of coaches talk about that, a lot of business coaches, a lot of business services talk about that. But the problem is, it's very difficult sometimes to look at it and go, how's that actually applied to me and my business? Well, what we've done here is created something called the Client GPS. And the Client GPS is just a way of guiding you and your clients along this journey. But in order to do that, we need to go a bit deeper than just the buyer's journey. So what we've done is we've created something that we call, amazingly, obviously very original, those guys, called the client journey. Woo, very clever. So the client journey is a more detailed approach to this. It takes you through all the steps and stages somebody needs to go through in order to come purchase your services, but also make you more money in the future, more revenue. I'll talk about that in just a moment. Now, this client journey is actually specific to online fitness businesses. So we've adapted this specifically to you based on all the data that we've seen from working with thousands of online personal training businesses now. So we've taken that and adapted it all, but the fundamentals that underpin this client journey is the same for any business. It doesn't matter what business, in person, offline, whatever it is, this underpins, and the actual baseline system behind this, the process behind it, is the same across all businesses. We've just adapted this so it's more suited to you as an online personal trainer. So that's what we tried to do here. And it's this GPS, this process that's going to guide people to purchasing your services. That's what we're going to try and do. Now, your business is going to need all of these things in place if you want to be successful and sustainable in your business. It literally is as simple as that. You can't skip any of these bits. Now, that doesn't mean you have to do all these things at once, but you must plan to implement these over the coming months and years. And the reason I'm putting months and years there is I don't want you to put too much pressure on you. You can certainly have a successful business without all these things in place. The thing is, you want to make sure you have a business that's sustainable in the long term. And we see this way too often with online fitness businesses. They might do really well for 2-3 years, and then things start to drop off again. And that's because they don't have all these systems in place. And that's what we really want to try and instill to anybody that either joins the Peak Ninja Academy or any of our Peak Ninja services, that you have to have these systems in place if you want to have a long-term sustainable business. And that's what I want to try and show you today and demonstrate to you today. So let's talk about what this client journey is. Some of you may have seen this before on some other trainings that I may have done, but I want to quickly go through it on here with you. So this is the client journey. It's split into a number of different stages. So we have the awareness stage, the engagement stage, subscribe and follow stage, convert stage, excite stage, invest stage, the champion stage, and the promote stage. I want to quickly run you through some of these at the moment. So let's talk about the awareness stage. This is where you start from. This is where somebody might start. So this is when a prospect becomes aware of you and becomes interested in what you have to offer. Now, you can actually split this awareness stage up into a few different areas. You can have people that have no idea that you even exist, or don't even know they have a problem yet that you can solve. And you can have people that know they have a problem that they need solving, and then now they can find out that you exist to help solve that problem. So there's actually two different sections within the awareness area, and you can do systems and processes for both of those. And we're going to talk about those in just a moment. But let's just focus on the main stages. So that's the awareness stage. The next one is the engagement stage. This is when a potential prospect begins to engage with you, and you are now driving traffic towards things that you offer and things that you do. Next up, we have the subscribe and follow stage. So this is what basically you're trying to get your prospect to subscribe to at some level, whether that be an email list, it could be on your social media. So for example, if someone follows you on social media, becomes a friend, they're at that subscribe stage. If they join your newsletter, that's subscribe stage. If they download the lead magnet, they're at subscribe stage. That's where we're at the moment. Everything before that falls into awareness and engagement. Next stage is convert. So you're looking to get the prospect to make a small investment into you. That's what you're trying to do here. So this is what some people call the front end offer. But basically what we're trying to do here is get somebody to make an investment into you for your even main program, to purchase something from you, whatever it is you're trying to get an investment at this stage here. You're converting them from a lead and a prospect into a client into a customer. That's what the conversion is. That's why it's called convert. Next up, we then go into the excite stage. So basically what we're looking to do here is excite your client or lead about their initial purchase or call or whatever they've done to start off with, whatever they purchased from you, whatever they've invested to become a customer or client of yours. We're going to try and get them all excited about that process. And the reason we try to get them all excited about that process is because eventually we want to invest into more stuff with you. So not only do we want to retain our clients for the long term, but we want to invest in other services. And that's why that excite phase is so important, because it makes the invest stage so much easier to do. Once we've gone for the invest stage, we then have something called the champion stage. This is where your clients are now going to talk about to others who fall within the same audience. So they're going to start talking about how amazing you are, how good you are. We want to encourage that with our ways of doing that. And then we have something called the promote stage. This is where you'll create partnerships basically with your clients or others as well to help promote your services. Now, generally speaking, you tend to follow this path. But remember I talked about this being a client GPS. Sometimes your GPS has to adjust the route that you're going on. So you can see there's a number of arrows that maybe put you in different directions. It doesn't mean you're always going to follow this set path, but the idea is to try and move people through this. And sometimes you can move people through this in a matter of minutes. Sometimes you might have to move them through in a matter of months. It really does depend on the type of business you want to run, the type of clients you're trying to attract in, and also how you're actually attracting in those clients. So there's a lot of things at play here, but whatever you do, whatever process you're doing, you will go through this client journey with you. Whether that takes literally minutes, or whether that takes hours or days, weeks or months, this process will happen with every single one of you. Okay, so that's what the client journey looks like. I want to give you a real world example of this, and not necessarily the fitness industry, but I also find that the easiest way to understand this process is to try and relate it to relationships. Because I'd imagine most people listening and watching this training have been in a relationship at some point, and they'll go through this process. And I want to talk about this with you now. So let's start at the awareness stage. This is the equivalent of noticing an attractive person across the room. So let's say you walk into a bar and you're attracted to them, or maybe they're attracted to you. You're doing things maybe in that bar that they're noticing. You think, oh, I like the look of that person. They dress very well. They're quite sociable. They're engaging with lots of other people. They start to become a bit more attractive. So they're noticing that person across from the room. You're making them aware of your existence. That's what's literally happening here. Next thing is engagement. You walk up to that attractive person, and you notice that you've noticed, and you introduce yourself. So you've noticed them noticing you. So now what you do is start to introduce yourself. You start the conversation and just be a normal person and have a chat with them. Once that's done, you end up getting the phone number from that person you found attractive. Now you're thinking, actually, I've really enjoyed this engagement, this conversation with you. Let's take this to the next level. Let's just swap our contact details. That's the next step. That's your subscribe and follow. Now we're on Convert, you're on the first date. You've had a few conversations through that subscribe and follow, and I think actually let's try and take it to the next level. Let's go on that first date. So you're going to go on that first date. You've now invested some time and money in the date with each other, and really what you're trying to do now is going through the excite stage where you're thinking, actually this first date's gone really well. Let's go for a second. Let's go for a third. So you're really going for that kind of honeymoon period now, and that's what that excite stage is. Next up, we're in the invest. So now everything's gone really well. You've decided that you've been dating for a while, and it's time to make this relationship official. So now you're officially in this relationship hopefully for the long term. Your intention is to work together and be together for the long term. So you now decide to spend more time together, and you really start to trust each other a lot more, which means you're more likely to do other things, such as maybe moving with each other, spend more time with each other, go on holiday with each other, because your level of trust has increased. So you're now investing more time and more money into each other. We're then going to go on to the champion. So this is basically when we're going to call this Facebook official. This is when all your friends and family will see. You can go through this first invest stage on here in the relationship without really telling lots of people. Your closest friends and family will probably know, but you want the rest of your friends and family or the rest of the world to know, then on here you're going to be Facebook official. This is when you start talking about other people about how amazing your new partner is. And then we have the promote stage. This is basically when the wedding bells are going. So this is really when you're announcing to the world that you're married and this is the person I want to be with, and this is the best person for me. You're really promoting this to the world, and that's effectively kind of what is happening when we do any kind of marketing for our fitness business. And I really want to try and think about that process. And the reason I want you to think about that process of when it comes to having a relationship is I want to show you now what most online personal trainers do, and I can promise you that a lot of people listening to this are probably doing some of these things. So let's go over here. So we're going to still imagine that this process is happening and it's in a relationship. And I'm going to talk about what we do and what we expect when we kind of go through this process with people. So let's look at awareness down here. So down the bottom, you're in the awareness stage and you want people to be aware that you exist, but you're not telling anyone that you're actually looking for a relationship. You're not putting yourself on the market, or you're putting yourself out there to find one, but you're also trying to do this in a couples retreat. So let's say you're going to the wrong places. You're going to a couples retreat as a single person. You're trying to find a relationship. Not going to happen. But you're also going to these places, but you're not making anyone aware that you're actually in a relationship. You're not doing anything in order to attract their attention. And that you're still expecting people to become aware that you exist. And we actually do that in marketing all the time. A lot of people are putting posts up, but they're not telling people what they're doing, not telling people they're actually looking for a relationship, telling people they're looking for clients, not doing things that actually get their particular clients they want to work with attracted to them, paying attention to them, because they just look like everybody else in the bar now. Or even worse, what we do is we go to places where people just aren't bothered about your services. We go to places and maybe posting on Facebook groups and forums, or even on our own profiles where we haven't yet built up a social profile of our ideal clients yet. And we're just posting and putting content on there, expecting people to engage with it, but they're not our clients, not interested. And that's kind of what we're doing here a lot of the time. Next up is engagement. When someone shows interest or shares a similar interest, you ignore them. So let's say someone smiles at you from over the bar maybe, or they want to come over, and even like waving you over to come and chat with them, you just completely ignore them. Or you then they just say hi to you and you just turn away and walk off from them all. We see that engagement all the time. Let's say if you're talking about engagement, we use social media as an example here. Let's say if people are now aware you exist and they start commenting on maybe a post of yours, and you just ignore them. You don't give them a little like, you don't reply back to their comment. That's what you're doing down here. You're not going to build a relationship like that. Same way as if someone emails you, if they say hello to you, or anything like that, make sure you say hello back. This is all about actually building a relationship with someone, and relationships require you to communicate with each other. Next up, we're going to have subscribe and follow. So let's talk about some of the things that people do when you start talking to each other and you don't make your intentions clear. So maybe you start to have those conversations, but you're not really letting them know exactly what you want out of this. You're holding back for whatever reason. So how can you expect someone to go on a date with you if they don't know that you're interested? If you're just basically not showing them that you're interested, not pushing it forward to try and get on that date, you can't expect to go on a date anytime soon. And again, we do this all the time. We don't make enough offers to people to actually get them on that first date, to actually get them to make that first purchase. We're then going to the convert. So you're on your first date and you talk about you and you don't ask about them. This is a massive thing in the fitness industry. A lot of the time when we're talking about this sales process, it's all about what you can do for them, what your app can do for them, what your program can do for them. They don't care. Think about them. Get them talking about them. Use questions in your sales copy to get them thinking about them, get them thinking emotionally. This is what you need to try and do when you're doing sales. So on here, again, that's exactly what you're trying to do here. You're basically talking about you and not even asking about them. And you don't make your intention clear that you want to go on a second date. You're not doing anything to help let them know that something else is going to come next after this. Again, you have to start doing this stuff within your sales process, your marketing processes. Next up is the excite. Your first date goes well, but then you ghost them. So let's say they've committed to that first date. You said you're going to go on the next one. Nothing really happens. You're just kind of like, they're going through the process. You're just making no effort with them whatsoever. And again, we see this a lot of time in programs. Sometimes a lot of trainers do this pretty well. They really get all in, over-deliver on their programs. But then sometimes we just basically get them signed up. We take the money. We don't give them any onboarding stuff straight away. That comes a few days later. And then this doubt starts to slip in because it's not what they expected. And it's just because you don't have the systems and processes in place in order to give them what they expected at a scalable level. So we've got to make sure here that when we're going through this excite stage with them, that you are actually making an effort with your clients, because that's the only way you're going to go on the next day. Next up on here, we have invest. So this I find quite an interesting one. For some reason, a lot of time we go straight from this to this. We have a big jump on there. I want you to think about this logically. Let's say if you just go out, let's say you've never posted, we use social media as an example. Let's say if you've never posted on social media and you just put out there, here's an offer. You can get away with that sometimes, but let's think about how often that would work in a dating environment. So that's the equivalent of you're in a bar and you're walking up to people you're attracted to and asking them to move in with you. You're asking them to make a huge commitment and trust to a stranger. And you might look attractive to them, but are they going to move in with you? Probably not. And you might get the odd people that would do that. They're probably going to be slightly weird. if they do. But let's just think about that in a marketing point of view. How many times have you just gone out and made offers to people, and some people have signed up for it, and they come up as a client, and when you get them on there, they're absolute pain in the backside of the client. They become awkward and difficult for you to go and work with. And it's because none of this relationship stuff has happened. It hasn't allowed you to understand them as a client. It also hasn't allowed them to understand you as a coach. Now, by going through this process first, it means you're going to get the right type of people in, and you're going to get more of the right people as well. You could even be worse than this. You could actually say you're sat at home waiting for that perfect someone you haven't met to knock on the door and ask you to marry them. The amount of times I hear coaches sometimes say, oh, I'm doing this, like I've got my website set up, I've got this all built up, I've got this sales copy on there, it all looks good, I've got my app and everything set up, but no one's signing up to anything. And I go, well, how often have you posted? Are you running paid advertising? Have you done any partnership deals with anybody? And they go, oh, no, I've not done that. I've got my website up then. And you are literally expecting people to come knock on your door and literally ask you to marry them. That's what you're trying to do in that scenario. And it's because you haven't done any of this stuff first. This stuff has to happen in order for this to happen. And it's here, this invest stage, where the most of the money is made in online personal training. All this stuff here leads up to that. You can make money through this process, but most of it is made in this invest stage. But unfortunately, this is literally what most online coaches do. And we have to start getting out of that habit and start thinking about this whole process here if we want to have any chance of having some long-term success with our businesses. We then have the champion stage here. So this is when you want to introduce your new date or friend to your friends and family, but you haven't really been on your second date yet. So let's say that you've been on a date with somebody and it went okay, and now you basically want to say to them, oh, let's go and meet our friends, let's go meet our family. It's probably not going to be the right time to do it. They're probably not going to have much things in common. You don't know enough about each other yet. So when they start asking questions, you can be like, oh, I don't really know. Or you might start learning things about them that maybe you're not too comfortable with. People start doing this sometimes. Without doing anything, they get people to recommend them and refer them to each other and start talking about things with other people, and they're actually giving misinformation out there. You see this a lot. You really, really do, especially in the software industry. Actually, you see this quite a lot. You see people do comparative things on software, and all they're doing is switch on the software, log into it for 5 minutes, and then start reviewing it. It's impossible to do that. And the amount of times I go on to software reviews or other softwares writing about comparisons, and actually go, well, that's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong. That software does do this. I know this because I work in it. I've used this particular software before. And you see this all the time. And it's important that you get this right. And then next up, we have the promote stage. So people jump into this there and basically saying you want to set your Facebook relationship for your Facebook status to in relationship, where literally does just kiss someone at a bar. Again, you're taking it to that next step. You're asking someone to go out and promote your services, but they don't know enough about you yet. And this really does happen quite a lot within the online fitness industry. So we need to find a way to go through this process as a business owner, make sure we have all these things in place so that we can work our way through this and build a good relationship with your clients so you can keep them for as long as possible, make as much income from them as possible, and basically build a long-term sustainable online fitness business. So if we go into here, what kind of things might we want to do for that? Well, here I've just given you some ideas of some of the stuff that we teach over in the academy for each of these different stages, just to give you an idea. So in the awareness stage, you might do things like social posting. You might follow our follow, like, engage process. You might have partnership deals with people. You might use paid advertising for those different things. In the engagement, you'll do what's called social engagement. You might do warm outreach. You might do partnership events. You might do retargeting advertising. In the subscribe stage, it might be to join a social group, such as a Facebook group, just like this one that you're watching this training in. It might be to follow people on socials. For example, they might just like you, add you as a friend, or just follow you. It might be to join a newsletter, whether that's just straight to a newsletter or via a lead magnet or something on those lines. Then the convert stage over here, we're going to have, maybe it's booking a call with you, maybe it's a conversion event that might be like the challenge that we talk about over in the academy, in the OPTC course, or it might be investing in your flagship program, so the main thing that you actually go and offer. The excite might be the onboarding process and calls that you have with people. It might include the check-ins and the roundup processes you have. It could be live and group coaching that's in there, and also future pacing, which is talking about what's going to happen in the future. So you're getting prepared for what's going to come up into the future as well. Invest, this is where you might offer a membership subscription, or you might offer some premium services with maybe one-to-one support. So when you get into this kind of back end, this invest stage, you can actually offer more things if you wanted to. I always recommend when starting out, you just focus on one particular thing. It just makes it a lot easier for you. But over time, you might want to offer more. But generally speaking, you're looking at something like a membership subscription at this point in here. Champion phase, this is where you'll ask for testimonials, ask for reviews, and then you'll use these within the awareness stage. So this thing kind of becomes full circle. So this can be used in awareness and the engagement using the testimonials and reviews. And then over here, we have our promote stage. This is where you might offer affiliate programs to partners or selected clients, or even invite clients to public events to support awareness. For example, if you're doing partnership events, you might bring people down those events. So a lot of these things you can see will mix together, but this is the sort of stuff you want to have in place for your online fitness business. Now, all these things here we talk about and teach over in the academy and help you set up. You're going to want to have these kind of things in place, running consistently. You're going to want to have systems to go and do this, because you might be looking at this thinking, Ash, this is a lot. And I said, it might feel like a lot, but if you have the systems and processes, the SOPs, the standard operating procedures in place for all of these, it's not that difficult to do. It's just a process that just runs in the back end of your business for you. So, a little task for you to go and do. I want you to go and score yourself now. I want you to go and score yourself. So, this is what I like to do. I want you to look at the different stages: the awareness, engagement, subscribe, follow, convert, excite, invest, champion, and promote. And I want you to score yourself with 1 star or 5 star. So 5 star means that you have a tried and tested method in place and you have the standard operating procedures written up. Now, whether you've necessarily got these written up or not, I don't mind. But theoretically, as long as you could sit there and write an exact process out on a Google document, and theoretically you could give that to someone else to go and do it, theoretically, then I'd probably say give yourself a 5 star, as long as you know it's working and converting. If you have something like that, but it's not really converting that well, give yourselves 4, and then work your way down that process, depending where you're at with all this. Now, 1 star means you don't do anything in this area. So maybe you don't do any posting. So that might be 1 star in awareness. But maybe you do some posting, but you just do it kind of sporadically. There's no structure or process to it, then it'll be a 2 star. If maybe you plan out a week's worth and you put things on, but it's not getting much engagement, it's not really targeting, it might be a 3 star and so on. So what I want you to do is work your way through this, and in your opinion, just give yourself a score 1 star or a 5 star in each of those different areas. Now, once you've done that, what I want you to do is total up your score, and they'll give you a total out of 40, so you get 5 in each area. And I'd love for you to go and post this into our Facebook group, listing your strongest and weakest stages. Now, you might be asking, do I really need to go and do this? I really would advise you to do this, because when you do that, it helps us understand a starting point for you. And if we can understand the starting point of where you're at with your business now, we can actually help you and support you in the best possible way. Imagine trying to work with your personal training clients without understanding where they're starting from. It's going to be near on impossible to go and do. So we want to try and find out exactly where you're at with your business currently. And by doing that, we can actually recommend the best type of training and route and support that you need in order to get you where you want to be, where you have this entire client GPS, this client journey in place for your business, so you can build something that's successful and sustainable for the long term. Now, in order to help you go and do that, I'll just put a little swipe file you can add down here, which is I score, whatever it is, so insert your score on the client GPS. My strongest stage or stages are, so if you scored a couple in 5, maybe your convert and your excite are both stages that you scored a 5 in, or maybe a 4 in. You could say my strongest stages are excite and convert at 5 as a score, and my weakest are maybe it's awareness and engagement, and then that might be a score of 1 or maybe 2 in there. So you're going to put your strongest one and the scores in, and you're going to put your weakest one and the scores in on the post as well. And we're going to use that to help guide the support and stuff that we give you within this group. So there you go. That is your task for today from this particular training. Now, as always with these, if you need any extra help and support when it comes to building, launching and growing a successful online personal training business, you want help setting all the stuff that we've actually talked about there. Not only do we give you the training on how to do it, we actually have all the resources. We have a lot of that stuff already pre-built for you. The scripts, the processes, the systems, software, everything. For those things you see on there are already pre-built for you that you can actually copy and paste into your business, and then you can adapt it to suit your particular business as well. And we'll actually help you do that as well as part of the process. And we do all that over in the Academy, along with much more other stuff. So the Academy base is a place for support, coaching, and the community all in one place. And just remember, you are not alone with Peter Ninja. We're here to help and support you. And we like to make this as affordable as possible. We understand this is all about new businesses. So you can actually join the Academy today for only £97. It's £97 a month. There's literally no commitment. You can cancel whenever you want to. There's even the opportunity to have lifetime access, so you can just pay a one-off fee and literally have lifetime access to me, the team, and all the resources and updates we have as well. And I can find out more about that by going to peterninja.com/academy. And then go and check it out and find out more about it on there.